Hello, Lions fans. Welcome to Lions Nation Unite. I'm CZ. I am here with the one, the only, Mr. Herman Moore.
Appreciate it.
And I'm also here with Martin Kelly, who we have gotten to know quite well doing the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. Martin, what's good?
What's up? What's up? Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Herm, Martin needs a nickname. What you got?
For Martin, oh man, people don't know this. I'm gonna start calling him. People don't know. Listen, I found out Martin is 6'8".
That's crazy.
And I have to tread a little bit softer. You know, I thought I was gonna call you a little. I was gonna call you a little fella because I'm watching him in this confined box right here in front of me. But I realize now, and also because of the fact that you are what fan was that you told us you were? What was that fan?
I'm a fan of the greatest NFL football team, Herman, the Chicago Bears. I don't hide from it, okay? I'm a fan of the Chicago Bears, all right? Grew up in the city of Chicago, all right? I grew up at least 5 miles away from Soldier Field where they played football, all right? I played in that stadium when I played high school football twice, and I'm a fan of that team, baby. I've been to Soldier Field. I love it there.
That's wonderful.
Go Bears, man.
That's wonderful. CZ, you already know. You already know what I love to say. Should I tell them what I love about Chicago Bears?
Go ahead.
Should I tell them? You already know. You've heard the story enough.
A million times.
I enjoy playing against Chicago. I love that team because the touchdowns, the opportunities that I had with you guys. It's been wonderful. It's wonderful. You guys are always willing to give me a touchdown.
Unfortunately, in the mid '90s, our DB room wasn't up to the top tier that we had in the '80s. Okay, if we had you in the '80s, we would have locked you down. Okay, '85 Bears defense would have locked you down. Okay, no yards.
Yeah, no.
Did you do the Super Bowl shuffle?
No.
Oh, I had that. I had the Super Bowl shuffle cassette tape when I was a kid. I had a little boombox in my room. I played that from time to time. Okay, I know the '85 Bears. All right, I know them. All right, I love that team.
I found out about your swag too. You know, we've been talking a little bit, and just so for a good disclaimer here, you know, Martin helps us with some of the other shows that we do. He's a good confidant of Scott Mitchell, and he's joined our team via Scott Mitchell. But he's become part of the family. So even though he's a part of the Bears Nation, let's call it, he's now going to be brought in. You know, if you're okay with that, CZ, we'll bring him in as kind of an honorary person. I know he's a Bear guy, but I want everyone to give Martin grace because he's rolling with us.
Also, I can put my name in the Lions den because I got family from Western Michigan. They are severe diehard Detroit Lions fans. So my father's a Detroit Lions fan, so he's like severe loving all that team, and so is my grandfather. So when the Lions are good, I root for y'all. Okay, because I can get
behind. When the Lions are good,
that's called bandwagon fan.
Hey man, come on.
No. I show support. Hey, Martin, I'm like, you know what?
I'm trying to leave you a space on the bus, man. I'm trying to leave.
What I'm saying is, when y'all are good and when y'all are like legitimately, I support that because the Lions and the Bears are so well known in that bottom tier, watching the Packers and the Vikings trade off from time to time. And when we can break out, I love watching that. Okay, that's just it. I love watching it.
Oh, it's going to be a fun season.
Alrighty.
It's going to be a fun season.
So I am actually curious, Martin, to see what your take is going to be on this particular topic that I'm looking to bring to the group today. Okay. So as you may or may not know, I spent a decade with the Lions back in the 2010s-ish, 2000 era. So I was there for Coach Schwartz, and you know, Coach Caldwell was on his way in. I saw Coach Mariucci, Coach Marinelli. And so I've seen coaches go through processes of coming in, everything's exciting, we're biting kneecaps, we're pounding rocks, and then things progress through the seasons and we see what happens. And Coach Campbell had his some press conferences over the week last week with OTAs happening. And there was a distinct shift in his demeanor in terms of how he was approaching the media, what he was saying, the tone in which he was saying it. And I wanted to bring it to the group and ask some questions about it. Now, first, I'm going to show a couple clips, very short, of Coach Campbell from his press conference. You guys ready?
Yep, let's take a look.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
I guess. So, today will be day 3, but it's, the guys are working hard. We wouldn't expect anything different. And then as we all know, the OTAs, it's, we're really doing right now for this week. It's jog through with the team, and then we're moving pretty good on 7-on-7. But, we'll 2 spots. We're going to have 2 fields and walkthroughs, so don't read into all that. I saw so-and-so on field 2. Okay. Doesn't mean anything. The guys know that too. So we're working through it. And this time of year is about communication, man. Working your craft, getting better at what you do. And then, man, learning to work with the guy next to you, whoever that is. Nobody's going to win a job in the spring. So that's where we're at. Kirby, Branch, Laporta, they're all improving. Okay? None of them are practicing. It's the best I can tell you. I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have done really well for 2 days in pajamas. And then there's some that are learning through it. They're working through it, they're learning. But there again, I'm done with the hype of the pajama party in May. So man, it's about the mental, it's about the movement skills, like all that other stuff doesn't matter.
Okay. So first of all, so much can be gleaned from this. So first of all, as a member of the media-esque, I with the team, but still I had media obligations. The tension that exists between the media and then the actual football players, coaches, and staff is hilarious because the media just needs to report a story. And the coaches and players are like, there is no story here. And so he's like, yeah, we're going to have 2 fields. No one it doesn't even matter. Like, don't turn it into something. So he's getting out ahead of it. And then also just like, we're done hyping pajamas. So I want to know, Herman and Martin, what is this? What does this mean? Is it pressure? Is it experience? What is it that we're seeing from Coach Campbell? Because we're so used to happy and fired up Coach Campbell.
I see a coach that has really settled into the understanding that, nothing's given. When Coach Campbell came in at first, he talked about this grittiness. He talked about what it was going to take and the type of attitude this team need to have in order to make the runs that we've seen them make. And he wants to make sure it doesn't get lost. And I think last year was a step, I won't say back. They had injuries. They had some unfortunate things that took place. But I'll say this, Martin, CZ, that Coach Campbell is coming back in and he's setting the tone day one. And when you do that, you don't have to wait to build into it. You're starting now, and the expectation when you arrive at your destination, which is going to be the regular season, he wants the team to understand what's at stake. And that's all I get from that. So I kudos to him for removing that. He doesn't need to be the darling anymore. He doesn't need to be the coach that everybody wants to play for. He doesn't need to be the coach that everyone emulates and goes, hey, look at what Coach Campbell is doing over there in Detroit. He wants to be the coach that ultimately says, you know what, we're Super Bowl champions. And the only way we're going to be there is we got to get rid of all the fluff. And Coach Campbell is bringing himself back into the accountability. He's bringing his team back into accountability. He's bringing the organization back into accountability and reminding everyone that the task is not done just by going to the playoffs or winning a division. It means Super Bowl or bust.
Okay, I hear you. Now, Martin, I want you to understand this assignment that I got for you. I want you to analyze this through the lens of a Bears fan. I don't want you to be like, okay, I'll be Dan Campbell's biggest fan when I say this. No, I want you to tell me, what does a Bears fan think of this demeanor shift in Coach Campbell, or is it nothing? Do you think nothing of it? But I want to know what a Bears fan thinks.
I think of both. I think it's a little bit of nothing. I also think it's a little bit, from a Bears perspective, a little desperation from Dan Campbell. And the reason why I say that is because the swagger that the Lions had with back-to-back seasons and making it to the NFC Championship game and the 15-win season, division title, the mishap against the Washington Commanders, like Ben Johnson leaving, going to the Bears. I think Dan Campbell in last season was a lot of pressure of the sense that he had to go for it on 4th down. He had to have that same swagger that the Lions had a couple seasons with all that coaching staff. And if he didn't keep that up, then it wasn't going to look like the Lions of what we've come to used to. So now what he's doing is shifting the mentality to, okay, listen, we were comfortable. Let's get back to being swagger. Let's get back to being who we are. And as a Bears fan, bring it on. Like we simply bring it on. Like the Vikings are trying to do this as well. They're trying to bring in Kyler Murray, new energy, a new idea. Maybe it connects with Justin Jefferson. Maybe we can reward that defense. Maybe we can get some wins in this division. The Packers, same thing. Micah Parsons, Jordan Love, right? They're changing up their offense. They drafted Michael Golden. They're trying to make a new identity. And the Bears right now, their identity is consistent. They got an impactful offense. They got a suspect defense. But we already know that about the Bears. So the Lions, where do you go from being swagger to being back to hungry? That's the type of offense and imagery that I get from what Dan Campbell is saying. I want to see if the Lions can answer that, because it's not easy to go from being comfortable to back down. You have to work from the bottom up to get back to the top again. Like the Lions are not used to it. This is now a new direction for them. How do they answer the bell? And so far, Dan Campbell is saying, listen, we're going to go straight forward. We're on two fields. It doesn't matter. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Guys are out. Don't ask me about it. We're getting to business. You better understand it or not. And to me, okay, if you're going to try to do that, okay. But I mean, last year the Lions had our number, right? They beat us. They beat us badly in Detroit. They got away with the win in Chicago. So, Detroit's thinking, you know what? We just have to change our attitude in case the Packers or the Vikings get good. But the Bears, we know we can beat. But to me, I think Ben Johnson's going to
I
bring
love how
something
you're
new to
like,
the
this is
table.
what the Lions are totally like, we got the Bears. I like how you're just like
Exactly.
throwing that in there.
Yeah, because I think that was part of what happened to the Lions last year, is that they thought that there was these easy wins that they got early. They got comfortable. They didn't know how to fight that through the middle of the season. Herman, you brought it up. Injuries and mishaps happened in that direction. And so the Lions lost their swagger, and Dan Campbell couldn't save the season. So now a new identity is what he's trying to approach at. Let's see if they actually can adapt to the new identity. Otherwise, to me, it's another struggling season with the Lions, because they're not the 15-win team anymore.
I really think it's actually maybe less about image and what he's portraying and more about internal exhaustion. It is funny because NFL fans want the drama. They want a soap opera. They want to overanalyze everything to the point that it makes really no sense to do so. And the players and coaches and administrators are like, yeah, there's not really anything to talk about, but the fans do not care. And so the media has to come up with something. So I could be like, hey, Jameson Williams wore 2 different color socks today, and the fans could read into that for, who knows? So the fans just love to talk. They just love to talk about the team. And so the media has to deliver some conversations. And a lot of the time it's somewhat reaching. So in that vein, though, Martin, I want to know what's Ben Johnson been like in Chicago? What do fans think about? And is there any talk about Detroit when he's in there? Like, is he regularly, are there things being alluded to? Is there, and what's going on in Chicago? Like, tell us, give us the tea.
Well, when it comes to Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions and us as Chicago Bears fans, I would say that it's the mindset of that he kind of like, again, staying with his underdog story, right? We're all looking at it from our perspective, like, okay, the Lions aren't to win bad anymore. They can actually win 5 games. They can actually compete in games. They can stay in games. No. I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. But then they actually get above 500. Then they actually win the division. Then they actually show that they're legit. Then they actually show that they can surpass the Bears, right? It isn't just about beating us once in a while. It's actually about dominating us, right? So that reality didn't set in until a little bit after they were beating us consistently. So Dan Campbell's not an enemy, but he's definitely in conversations of, man, what if we would have hired Dan Campbell? What if we would have saw what the Lions were seeing beforehand? Like that's the mentality that we have when it comes to a Dan Campbell. He's on the same level as KOC, which is a coordinator that we didn't expect to become a great head coach, and it is a great head coach. We don't like the team, but you know what? Kevin O'Connell and Dan Campbell are on the same level where it's like, okay, there's respect, but we still don't like your team. They're not in. They're not talked about like the team up north. Okay, when it comes to that team up north and the Cheeseheads and the Floor, then there's a different conversation. Okay, when it comes to those guys, but sticking with the Lions, Dan Campbell is not liked, but he's respected. That's kind of what it is.
What about Ben Johnson? What's that dynamic?
When we win the Super Bowl, we're going to build a statue right next to George Papa Bear Hallis. Okay, right next to him with the Super Bowl trophy. God, we love Ben Johnson. Thank you guys. We really appreciate Ben Johnson a lot. We appreciate you nurturing him, allowing him to adapt and to develop under Dan Campbell, learn some great leadership, and then flourish it in Chicago. We really do appreciate that.
Let me ask you this. In your opinion, who you think is going to have the most storied career as a coach? Will it be Ben Johnson, or will it be what Dan Campbell has done with the Lions, or what Ben Johnson is doing with Chicago?
That's from
fast forwarding. If you're looking down the line, if you're saying, you know what, where do you see this based on what you've seen, how the trajectory has worked? We've seen Coach Campbell come in. It took him a few years to get it kind of ramped up. Ben Johnson goes in and it's almost instantaneous.
It's almost instantaneous, and it's kind of funny how simple that was, right? Where Matt Eberflus and Matt Nagy were incapable of actually putting this team in a legitimately good position to win. And all Ben Johnson does is come in and says, good, better, best. And everyone buys in and says, all right, we're going to go win football games. Let's go compete against these teams. Let's show that we can win. So, I give credit to Dan Campbell. He did it the hard way, right? Coming off the Matt Patricia era, right? All of that mess with the New England, people coming into the office and Rob Gronkowski's going to get traded. Like, it just was a never-ending circus, right? Dan Campbell comes in and says, all right, clean sweep. We know we're at the bottom. We got to work our way to the top. And he does it step by step by step. He earns all the trust of the fans, of the players, of the media, of the city. And for me, Ben Johnson did that instantaneously because it just, the roster was there to be taken advantage of. Dan Campbell didn't have that roster to begin with. If Dan Campbell had that roster first year with that team that just didn't win much, that went almost 2.5 months without a win, if that was what the Bears were from day one with them, I think they could have won 10, 12 games easily and would have won the division. So Dan Campbell had to go it the rough way because of a roster. With Ben Johnson, the roster was there. It just needed to be tweaked and had a different message. Matt Eberflus could not get what he wanted out of that roster. Ben Johnson comes in and says, listen, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. This is where I want you to be. And I don't believe Matt Eberflus was able to communicate that, so he lost the locker room. Ben Johnson's been able to gain it because he can actually tell you where he wants you to be and what he wants you to do. And that's a different message. And when players hear that, they turn into different players and they get better. And I think Ben Johnson was able to do that instantaneously because he saw the potential. And I don't think Matt Eberflus did.
I'm taking in everything that you're saying because it goes back to that question and what's happening right now. Do you build a roster? We look at the changes that have been made. We just talked about the difference between Coach Dan Campbell and then you take Coach Ben Johnson, head coach for the Chicago Bears, and they have two different things to build off of as head coaches. Coach Campbell builds it over time. He builds it brick by brick, piece by piece. And then you have another one that comes in and goes, I recognize as a coach, I'm being Ben Johnson. Here are all the pieces that are in place. And then if I add a little bit of sprinkle here and there of different players, plus maybe some coaches, maybe some other elements of play calling and sets and schemes, all of a sudden now I have a competitive team. I have a championship caliber team. He recognizes that and he sees that right away and he takes off and he does it. Coach Campbell builds it and eventually gets there over time. Now it's about sustainability at the top. And then that's when we start to see the cracks fall because now players start to leave because they become more attractive to other teams and your coaches become more attractive to other teams. At some point, Ben Johnson, if he has success like Coach Campbell had here in Detroit, he's going to be faced with the exact same problem. That is people exiting his roster, both players and coaches for opportunity or because they no longer are affordable as players to be within that system. Then we start to see what type of coaches they become. That's where Dan Campbell is in his journey. He's there to where now The success has been there. People have pillaged. They have pulled away. You've had the injuries. You've had the adversity. And now we're going to find out truly what type of coach you are. Because I always learn this. You don't find out who a person or player is until they face adversity. You truly get to find out who they are when they can come out of something, not when they can take it and there's nothing on the line. So that's what I see that's happening right now in Detroit. And it's not that they've hit the bottom by any means, right? This is a 9-7 or 9-8 team from the previous year. That's not destruction. That just shows that your bar has been raised and that the expectations are higher. So if anything was accomplished, he's changed the complete perception, as you've said so much, and as Chrissy has said as well. The perception of what Detroit looks like has changed, and I don't think it's going to go away. I think anything, they're going to say, when does it get back to being this caliber of team versus same old Lions?
Herman, that perspective kind of fired me up. I'm not going to lie. You're talking about how he's in that position now. He's got to prove himself, or he's, basically now let's see what he's got. Let's see what the team's got now that you've gone through this. I mean, you drafted really well, and we're waiting on injury news for these guys that got drafted really well. So it'll be interesting to see. So like I said, that got me kind of fired up. So I'm very excited.
Well, I'm fired up because we got some Chicago Bear guy down here that we work with that, at least we're that's how we roll here. You can be who you are and be what you are. And it's going to make for a very interesting year, CZ, because, you and I, we like to talk a lot of smack.
We do.
So, and I'm telling you right now, Martin, listen, man, LMU, listen, you better go load up on your Bear fans and get some more backup, because I'm telling you, we come strong. We bring neighborhood to the party when it's time to sit here and talk trash.
I got one more question for you, Martin.
Go ahead.
What do you think about Caleb Williams being on the cover of Madden?
Oh, I love it. Iceman, baby. Iceman. Okay, come on. Listen. All right, come on. All right, listen. Iceman is taking over. And listen, you know what? To the notion of the curse, I 100% believe the curse. Okay, I don't know how it's going to do it to the Bears. Okay, I feel like it's going to be like a missed field goal at the end of a playoff game or interception, or it's just going to be some poor way we lose a football game. I don't know how.
You think they're going to bring that up in December? They're going to be like, well, unfortunately, they blew this lead. We think it's because Caleb Williams was on the cover of Madden, clearly.
Yeah, it could be. And so, listen, it is what it is. Iceman's on the cover. I don't buy Madden games anymore because I can't get behind the game anymore. But yeah, I will spend the money. I will just have it just because. Just because I can play. Oh yeah, I'm gonna display it. Okay. Listen, I'm gonna display it right next to my Walter Payton jersey. Okay. Listen, this wall behind me, it's terrible. Okay, but I'm gonna put a Walter Payton jersey and a case display of Caleb Williams and in the video game right there. Okay, it's gonna be awesome. All right.
You do that, and while you're doing that, I'm gonna have some coffee and some bear claws.
All right. Well, so long, Lions Nation. We done.
You're just doing it. Yeah.
Bye.